When people think about conversational hypnosis, they usually have this image from Hollywood that it is all about suppressing the free will of somebody else. However, my definition is less dramatic. It is just about altering or changing the state of somebody as you talk to that person, which you yourself have been doing at some point, whether you were conscious of it or not. You have been asking something that was uncomfortable maybe to somebody else, and that person got nervous. Well, you hypnotized them, you produced a state of nervousness. On the other side, maybe you gave some great news to somebody, and that person was joyful and excited because of what you said. You have hypnotized them. I know, said like this, it sounds pretty random and not as fantastic and phenomenal that in some of movies we see outside, but it is just the way it works. Nobody can really force you, can really suppress your free will, unless they use drugs eventually and physical force. Without that, just with language alone, not really. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to be that strong and that brutal. Just altering someone's thoughts can work miracles into all sorts of situations, whether it is to resolve some relationship conflict, or at work, or as a coach or a hypnotherapist. Obviously, just altering the state of somebody can make them see everything about their life under a great light. And my personal method to get there is not too specifically about the language, how do you say this, how do you say that. It is first of all about yourself, about getting more awareness of what do you feel inside. Before words, before language, before technical cognitive logic, we basically communicate through pheromones and through maybe some brain waves, even if the science around it is still emerging, not completely sure. But we basically exchange with each other, human beings, through many different perceptions that are difficult to conceptualize consciously. To simplify this, just know that the state you feel will be felt by the person in front of you, or the person you interact with, or at least they will respond to it. If you approach somebody in a super high state of anxiety, even if you have perfectly rehearsed your word, your speech, because you want to get hired, for example, in a job, you have memorized every possible questions they would be asking you, yeah, fine. But if you're deadly anxious in your head and so tense like this, it will be felt. Even if you're a great actor, it will be felt by the people listening to you. So the state you feel is the first indication of what's happening. Because when you encounter others, it works both ways. Somebody else will communicate with you from an unconscious level. And you will sense when you are aware, only when you are aware of your own internal states, you will notice when you cross somebody in the streets or when you talk to somebody and your internal state is changing. And you may not even know what specifically is it about. You may not know where it comes from, but you spot, ooh, what am I feeling right now? And if you are in tune with that, you can spot the exact moment it is happening during a conversation, or with whom is it happening. Because when you talk with somebody you want to influence, because you want to help them, you want to seduce them or whatever, you will notice there are moments your internal states are changing during the conversation. Sometimes it is because of your own thinking, and sometimes it is because other people are feeling something, whether positive or negative, and you are affected by it. Even more if you are in rapport with somebody, if you trust them and they trust you, that connection is even stronger and you feel it even more intensely. The reason I make you go through this process first, which might sound completely irrelevant, is because it is going so much faster when you can just alter the state, because you sense in which state are they into at the moment you speak to them. If you can calibrate that correctly, then everything is so much faster and so much smoother, because you don't have to argue with the logic anymore, or at least much less. You can just pinpoint right away what is the main state, emotional state, or internal state I want to lead them into, compared to where they are right now. If they are anxious and nervous and I want to lead them into a comfortable, joyful state, okay, now we know where to go and we know where we are. Beginner hypnotists try to impose a state, but they are not aware at all of where their client or their subject is at. They just presuppose, oh yeah, Everyone is ready to go into a trance just because I say the magic words. Not at all. Not everyone is willing to go into a trance or to be joyful or feel confident just like this. Some people need to be led through different states before they can go there. So the recipe, once you have this awareness, the recipe for conversational hypnosis is to send some hooks in the water, to say some things, some topics of conversations, to challenge some questions, some beliefs, whatever you say. Notice when the feeling is changing, because this will be your internal code for what to say next and for where to go next. And that is when you don't have to think anymore. Once you master this, when you can just say something and be so much in tune with yourself that you notice at which moment the person is starting to open their mind or starting to be more elevated about what you say, then you don't have to lose yourself into hours and hours of convincing that person. You can just push more on the one topic of conversation that they responded to. And avoid forcing and forcing and forcing on something that is just not working with the person you are interacting with. No, not everyone is responding exactly to the same topics, to the same triggers, whether it is to go into a trance, to feel horny, or to close a deal in a sales context. Not everyone is responding to the exact same triggers. So you need to test a few things until you find one that is altering their state. They seem more of the state you want to get them into, either more happy or more captivated by what you say, whatever it is. Once you have this, then you can even double down on that by speaking, or even from the beginning, speaking only with the tone of voice that is matching the state you want them to be into. If you want one of the simplest examples of that may seem counterintuitive, because when we think about hypnosis, we think about a very slow and deep voice. But if you want to have a real example, a real life example, just look at Tony Robbins. In his seminars, just notice his voice tonality. When he's just entering the room and he'll go right away jumping, yeah, it's gonna be awesome, yeah, right off the bat. Why do you think he's doing that? Because he wants to lead everyone in the room right away into a very positive, motivated state, right off the bat, to break their bored and sad and empty state and lead them right away into a filled, great, energetic state.
1, 2, 3, go!
That is conversational hypnosis. He's leading them right away with his state, because he's aware of the state he's into, he's aware of the state he's feeling in the room based on the people's behaviors, people's body language. He's aware of that and he's leading them right away into the state he knows is more conducive to positive change than just arguing and staying low in a depressed mood. He's leading them right away. So bet more on the state than on the specific language at first, then the language will be a more advanced vehicle to lead specific beliefs or to change specific beliefs. But that is, I would say, the more advanced part in neuro-linguistic programming. In the beginning, if you can play with people's states, that will be, I think, the biggest building block in your skills, at least it was in mine, to make people evolve in their lives, specifically if you work as an agent of change, of positive change. If you want to develop your skills with that, you have a small challenge, a 5-day challenge I had published a few months ago called the 5-day Covert Hypnosis Challenge, where you have one assignment per day, giving you one simple mission to practice your skills and to develop one step at a time during 5 days, skills to better hypnotize others conversationally without having to stay stuck on irrelevant resistance. It is down below in the description. I tell you good luck and see you soon in the next video.